This video was supposed to be on what I bring on a winter camping trip. And I just went out for an overnight on Friday, and when I came back, today is Sunday, I didn't even unpack my bag because I figured at some point over the weekend, while I'm unpacking it, I can just share what I brought on the backpacking trip. And I don't even know if you want to call it a backpacking trip. It was literally just one quick night. And what I decided to do first is to kind of poke around YouTube and see how other people have approached their winter loadouts. And especially in my case, I was thinking about putting the clickbait title of budget backpacking gear, because I certainly backpack on a budget. And when I was looking at some of the other channels, the first thing I noticed is that, well, if you've spent any time on YouTube looking at backpacking channels, you can predict the people who are going to show up at the top of the YouTube searches. You already know who they are. And I bet you that, if you've spent time on YouTube and I got 100 of you in the room and I said, write down the 5 names that are going to show up at the top of the YouTube search, pretty much everybody would have at least 3 of the same out of the 5 names, the same amongst all 100 people. And when you watch a lot of those videos, I think if you are a budget backpacker or if you're a new backpacker, I think backpacking can come across as a little bit of an elite sort of thing. And I'm wondering if that's where backpacking is moving, especially if you just watch YouTube videos. There was a study done about Facebook that showed that the type of cars that people shared on Facebook posts did not represent the average car shown by Facebook users. And so basically, if you had a really fancy car, you were more prone to show it on Facebook. And if you just had an average car, well, you wouldn't show it. So if you spend any time on Facebook and looking at people's profiles, you would think that everybody has a fancy car except for you. And I'm wondering if that might be happening on YouTube. If you spend time with all of those first videos, you come across as seeing backpacking as this elite sort of thing where you need a ton of money. And I was looking at one particular channel that had links to all sorts of people that were doing winter loadouts. And I was watching this one video in which the big 3, the tent, the sleeping bag, and the backpack, they literally cost more than the vehicle that I drive to work every single day. If I took that vehicle and tried to sell it and get money, I couldn't even buy that gear. That's how much it was. And if you're starting to backpack, or if you're looking to get into winter backpacking on a budget, when you're watching somebody that is wearing, the Patagonia, Arctex, I've lost a Mountain Hardwear sort of jackets. Now again, this is coming out of a little bit of a jealousy, because if I had some money, I'd be wearing those things too. But if you're watching a video of someone that has a $300 jacket, a $500 sleeping bag, a $400 tent, et cetera, it's kind of hard to think that your gear is okay. And I think it's very easy to start judging yourself as being less than the perfect backpacker. And I'm into records and record players, and I was recently watching a video, and it had a clickbait title: how do you know if your audio system is awesome? It was something like that. And so I clicked on it because I wanted to see if my audio system was awesome. And the guy's first line was, the way that you know that your audio system is awesome is if you listen to it every day. And I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense. And so if you have backpacking gear that you use and get out once in a while on a weekend, you have elite backpacking gear. So it's all about not the fancy stuff, but just about getting gear that gets you outside. And so this rant is going to be a separate video. I didn't want to include it on the normal backpacking gear loadout for my winter stuff. I'm going to do that as next thing. But I just want to stress that if you are looking for backpacking gear on YouTube, to please dig down a little bit through the videos and dig down to some people that might be in the same economic zone as you are. I know that, for example, I own one very elite piece of backpacking gear. When I purchased a certain piece, which will be coming up in a video, it's a really pricey piece of backpacking gear. I also bought it when I was single and living in the basement of my grandfather's house. And so as you're watching these videos of people, you think you have to kind of say to yourself, are these young single people who are easily spending their money on gear? Or are they older retired people? Or are they someone like you? So hopefully the gear that I'll be sharing will be something that you can kind of connect with, at least, for the price point. And all of the gear that I'm showing, I'm actually using, which is another kind of rant that I would love to go into when some of these elite backpacking channels do videos on, this is the ultra lightweight gear I would bring if I went ultra lightweight camping, or this is the budget gear I would use if I was on a budget. Or the best one, and I've seen this multiple times, is this is the budget backpacking gear that I started with. Kind of implying it's not good to use anymore, but because now they have more money to spend on things. So for all you poor saps out there, this is what I used to start using, and maybe someday you'll be like me. And I know that nobody out there on YouTube, backpacking channels, wants to come across like that, but and I think in the individual videos they don't. But when a viewer is looking at them collectively, and you are going out to video after video after video of someone having this elite backpacking gear, it starts to mess with your head. And so if you are a budget backpacker, if you are a beginner backpacker, please don't let that stuff mess with your head. Don't judge yourself against other people's gear lists. I love watching those because I love dreaming about owning the Arc'teryx jackets and the the Mountain Hardwear sleeping bags and all of these other cottage industry sort of backpacking gear. But please don't judge yourself if you don't have those things. It is okay. Now, if you are one of those budget backpackers, right after this video, hopefully this will be posted on a Monday. What I'm going to do this week is I'm going to post 4 more videos on budget backpacking gear you could buy. It will take you outside just fine. And maybe you might want to stick a piece of electrical tape over some of the labels to not identify yourself as a cheap backpacker, but be proud of it. And so what you're going to see in the next video tomorrow is my loadout of winter gear. And then I'm going to do an individual video on just my backpack, just the sleeping bag, and just my shelter system. And then maybe I'll throw in a bonus of what I ate on that trip. So to all of you budget conscious backpackers, be proud and stick around the channel. Hit that subscribe button because this is the budget backpacking channel. Thank you.